Hello and welcome. We are live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour, US asks Israel to take every precaution to protect civilians after military strike in Rafah. Israel says Rafah strike went tragically wrong and will be investigated. Campaigning gains momentum as India gears up for 7th and final phase of parliamentary elections on 1st June. Voting to be held in 57 parliamentary seats across 8 states and union territories. Cyclone Remal leaves trails of destruction in coastal Bangladesh. At least 10 people died and over 150,000 homes destroyed. And in French Open, 14-time winner Rafael Nadal knocked out in the first round, loses to Alexander Zverev in straight sets. All right, first up, let's get to the latest on the world's largest election in India. "57 constituencies across 8 states and union territories will vote on 1st June in the 7th and last phase of India's parliamentary election. 904 candidates will be in the fray, 13 seats each in Uttar Pradesh and Punjab, 9 in West Bengal, 8 in Bihar, 6 in Odisha, 4 in Himachal Pradesh, 3 in Jharkhand and 1 seat in the union territory of Chandigarh will go to the polls on 1st June. The election result will be announced on 4th June. And campaigning intensified for the final phase of polling on 1st June. Political leaders are holding rallies across the country. BJP leader and Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to address rallies in Jharkhand and West Bengal. Another BJP leader and Home Minister Amit Shah will hold rallies at Odisha. While BJP President JP Nadda will visit Himachal Pradesh, where he will hold a convention and meet locals in Shimla. And for its part, the opposition is making a last-ditch attempt to woo voters in their favour. Chief of Congress Party Mallikarjun Kharge will hold rally in Punjab today. And a joint rally of Congress leader Rahul Gandhi and Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav will hold a joint rally in Varanasi. Punjab, a state steeped in rich history, vibrant culture and dynamic growth. Join us as we delve into the heart of this land of 5 rivers, exploring its diverse landscapes, thriving economy and the indomitable spirit of its people in trajectory of India's general election.
Known as the land of 5 rivers, the North Indian state of Punjab is famous for its culture, tourism and cuisine. Spread over an area of 50,362 square kilometres, Punjab shares a border with India's neighbour Pakistan. The Union Territory of Chandigarh serves both as the capital of Punjab and the neighbouring state of Haryana. Punjab played a major role in the Indian freedom movement, giving rise to revolutionaries like Bhagat Singh. The state emerged as an agriculture hub for the country, accounting for 2/3 of the country's total production of food grains. The city of Amritsar, which houses the holy Sikh site of Golden Temple, has been the state's major tourism centre. Visitors also flock to the city to witness the lowering of the flag ceremony by India's Border Security Force and the Pakistan Rangers at the Atari-Wagah border. In the 2024 general elections, Punjab, which has 13 lower house seats, is going to polls in the 7th phase and the final phase of the election scheduled on June 1st. The state has over 21.2 million voters, out of which 11.9 million are men, over 10 million are women, while more than 740 belong to the third gender. Punjab is being governed by the Aam Aadmi Party, which won majority seats during the 2022 state assembly elections. Other prominent parties in the state are the Bharatiya Janata Party, Congress and the Shiromani Akali Dal. In the 2019 general elections in the state, the Congress won 8 seats, the Shiromani Akali Dal and BJP bagged 2 seats each, while the AAP got 1 seat. Punjab being a sensitive state, especially because of the fact that it shares the borders with Pakistan, observers are closely monitoring the situation to ensure smooth and fair election process. Election Desk, DD India.
All right, let's go across to Chandigarh now, where DD India's Amritpal Singh is joining us live. Good morning, Amritpal. You are in Punjab, in Chandigarh. How interesting you think the battle will be there in Punjab? All 13 seats will vote in the 7th and final phase. BJP is contesting its first Lok Sabha polls in Punjab without its long-standing ally, Shiromani Akali Dal.
That's right, Abhishek. The BJP and the Shiromani Akali Dal are going alone, though they went alone in the last assembly elections in 2022 after the Shiromani Akali Dal walked out of the NDA alliance in 2020 post the protests against the farm bills. But this is the first Lok Sabha election that they're going alone. So it is really a contest between the former allies and the present allies. That is the former allies, Shiromani Akali Dal and the BJP in the fray, whereas the allies at the national level, the Indi alliance, the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress. But in Punjab, they are contesting against each other. So it is really a multi-cornered contest here, a four-cornered contest on most seats, where these 4 parties are the main players, but there are other players also, smaller players like the BSP. There are independents, interestingly, some hardliners like Amritpal Singh, who is lodged in the Dibrugarh jail under National Security Act. Hardliners like Simranjeet Singh Mann, who's a sitting MP from Sangrur, but is a radical Sikh votary. So, you know, at some places it is a multi-cornered contest in the sense they may not be in a winning position really, but they do have that kind of support among the masses where they could upset the apple cart for the traditional or the conventional parties. So, as I said, it's a four-cornered contest between these 4 parties. For the BJP, it will be interesting to see that if they increase their vote share, by how much do they increase, and does that really translate down to votes, because the seats, because the last time around in 2019 in partnership with the Shiromani Akali Dal, they had won 2 seats, that's Gurdaspur, Sunny Deol's seat, and Hoshiarpur, Somnath's seat, who is the Minister of State. Now his wife is contesting. Also, Shiromani Akali Dal, it will be the first election post Prakash Singh Badal's death. So it is a really a question on Sukhbir Singh Badal's leadership that the party is keenly looking at. The Congress, which had got 8 seats the last time around, will they be able to retain that tally? For the Aam Aadmi Party, which had won 1 seat the last time around, that is Sangrur, but later when 2022 elections happened, Bhagwant Singh Mann resigned and chose to go with the assembly and became the chief minister. Later Simranjeet Mann won in the by-poll, but they won the by-poll in Jalandhar last year, but now the Jalandhar candidate has gone, is fielded as the BJP candidate. So, you know, it's really quite a mess here, but it will be interesting to see that how in such an overcrowded scenario, who takes the cake.
Four-cornered contest in Punjab, you're saying. But talking about Chandigarh, specifically Amritpal, BJP replaced Kiran Kher with Sanjay Tandon, and he'll be against Manish Tiwari. Tell us briefly how the contest will be like.
In Chandigarh, it's a clear contest between the Congress and the BJP. As you rightly said, 2 times Kiran Kher was the MP from here, so the BJP's held on to the seat for 10 years. We'll have to see. It has some anti-incumbency set in because of Kiran Kher. Did that lead to the replacement? But officially the BJP is saying her health wasn't fine. Manish Tiwari, another heavyweight, he was the MP from Anandpur Sahib in Punjab. The Congress has brought in, but he has his own set of challenges to deal with. Traditionally, the Congress used to field Pawan Kumar Bansal from here, former union minister, but this time around they haven't. So there is some kind of factionalism that Manish Tiwari, within the Congress, that Manish Tiwari is facing. But it's a direct contest between Sanjay Tandon of the BJP and Manish Tiwari of the Congress.
All right, Amritpal, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs from Chandigarh. Now let's take you on an enchanting journey through the picturesque landscapes and serene valleys of Himachal Pradesh. Nestled in the lap of the Himalayas, this jewel of northern India beckons with its snow-capped peaks, lush forests and spiritual sanctuaries. Let's take in a sense of Himachal Pradesh, where every vista is a canvas painted with nature's finest hues and put in terms with the ongoing Lok Sabha elections in India.
Situated in the western Himalayas, the North Indian state of Himachal Pradesh is known as the land of snow-laden mountains. A popular tourist destination, the hill state shares its international borders with China. Spread over an area of more than 21,000 square kilometers, Himachal Pradesh attained statehood in 1971. Its capital Shimla served as the summer capital of British India. The city was the site of prominent political agreements, including the 1972 peace treaty between India and Pakistan after the 1971 war. Himachal is also famous for its unique festivals like the Kullu Dashera. The state, which has 4 seats in the Lok Sabha or the lower house of the Indian Parliament, will go to polls in the 7th and final phase on June 1. Himachal has 5.6 million voters, out of which 2.8 million are men, 2.7 million are women, while nearly 36 belong to the third gender. The state is governed by the Indian National Congress, which won majority seats during the 2023 State Assembly elections. The other prominent player in the fray is the Bharatiya Janata Party. In the 2019 general elections, the BJP bagged all the 4 Lok Sabha seats in Himachal. With the Congress and BJP being the 2 traditional heavyweights in the political arena, Himachal is set to witness a straight 2-cornered contest. Election Desk, DD India.
And in a unique and engaging campaign aimed at increasing voter participation, Election Commission of India organized a book campaign with new bestseller title Who Stole My Vote at major bookstalls across Delhi. Here's a report.
This book is not what it seems at first glance. The book, adorned with a compelling title and a cover, has caught the attention of many curious customers. On closer inspection, readers find that most of its pages are blank, except for 4 pages strategically placed in the center, delivering a powerful and thought-provoking message about voting. The innovative content design of Who Stole My Vote is crafted to grab attention and stimulate discussion. The book's cover and blurb focus on the critical issue of low voter turnout, particularly in urban areas. The Election Commission of India is taking such innovative approaches to nudge the voters to cast their vote.
I believe this book is a very different idea, different approach towards making people aware.
It's a good way to just make them realize what they are missing.
Yeah, it's a very strong message. It just says that, how important it is to vote, because each and every vote counts.
When I'm not going to vote, it is telling me somebody is stealing my vote.
This is the Election Commission's doing that they want to make people more aware and try and increase the voting percentage.
Voting of even one person is important.
I definitely request everyone to just go and vote for the nation.
So that's something which Election Commission has said it very loud and clear through this book.
Who Stole My Vote serves as a creative and impactful reminder of the importance of voting, aiming to inspire greater civic engagement during this election season. As this innovative publication continues to generate buzz, it also fosters a crucial conversation about democracy and the power of each individual's vote. Kriti Vadhera's report for DD India.
Alright, we'll slip into a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Indigo flight makes emergency evacuation after bomb threat. Parts of North India sizzle with severe heat wave affecting normal life. And severe storms and tornadoes devastate US states, at least 21 dead across 4 states.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan, and news just coming in. A bomb threat was reported on an Indigo flight from Delhi to Varanasi, prompting authorities to inspect the plane. The aviation security official said the crew found a note with the word bomb written on it in the aircraft's lavatory before taking off. All the passengers have been deboarded through the emergency door and are safe. All necessary protocols were followed and the aircraft was taken to a remote bay for inspection. The official said aviation security and a bomb disposal team are currently on site, and the aircraft will be positioned back in the terminal area post completion of all security checks. All right, DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya is tracking this story. He is joining us live. Tapas, in fact, he is on the phone line. Tapas, what is the latest you can tell us? Hope all passengers are safe and the flight is undergoing a detailed inspection.
Right, Abhishek. So let me just say that this particular Indigo flight of 6E2211 from Delhi to Varanasi was expected to start from in Delhi at around 5:35 a.m. But they received a bomb threat at Delhi airport, prompting the authorities to move the aircraft to an isolation bay for a thorough investigation. Now, this particular, as I mentioned, all the passengers were evacuated through the emergency door, and the flight is currently undergoing the inspection. We've been also told that currently all the necessary protocols are being followed, and the aircraft is currently at a remote bay as per the security agency's guidelines. You know, there is a standard protocol that the aviation security follows, and as for that, this has been taken there. But what we can tell you is that after the after undergoing the flight security and inspection, it is expected that this particular aircraft will once again be positioned back in the terminal area for takeoff. So we are expecting the more details to come. But as of now, Indigo has given a statement regarding this, that it's currently at a safe distance in a bay, and once the inspection is done, once the flight is cleared of anything, it will resume its operation.
All right, Tapas, just quickly, how many passengers were there on board the flight, and also what is the protocol that is being followed? Like you were saying that the aircraft has been moved to the isolation bay.
We're still trying to assess the number of people who are on board of the aircraft. We haven't yet received any detailed explanation of the number of people who were there in that particular flight. But as I mentioned, that this particular flight is currently undergoing inspection, and it's in a remote bay. It has been pushed on a remote bay where aviation security and a bomb disposal team, the disposal team are currently on site and checking for anything that will amount to a threat. But it looks like a bit of a hoax.
All right.
We still have to figure out, because yesterday also there was some threat perception key that was given at Mumbai. So we believe that we will get some more details.
Right, Tapas. We'll leave it at that for the time being, but we'll keep taking updates from you. Severe storms and tornadoes have swept through various states of the United States over the weekend. Tornadoes spawning thunderstorms that swept the southern plains have killed at least 21 people across 4 U.S. states and wrecked hundreds of buildings. Forecasters have warned of more severe weather. Meanwhile, the authorities of U.S. are preparing for a potentially extraordinary 2024 Atlantic hurricane season beginning next Saturday. Now in Papua New Guinea, more than 2,000 people were buried under a massive landslide that swept over a remote village on Friday. Rescuers are trying to reach out to survivors in the face of adverse weather conditions and the risk of further landslides. Authorities say if the region experiences any more rainfall in the near future, it could lead to an unprecedented disaster. All right, we'll go across to Hong Kong now. DD India's Laura Westbrook is joining us live. Laura, what is the latest you can tell us? 2,000 reported people buried in landslide. Rescue efforts are underway.
Yes, that's right. According to reports by the news agency AFP, almost 8,000 people in villages close to where this landslide took place are being evacuated. That's because of fears of further rain and fears of further landslides. Now, as you mentioned, the government said more than 2,000 people were buried when this massive landslide took place in the early hours of Friday morning. That's when many people were asleep in their homes. And according to reports, this landslide has extended by more than a kilometer. So that just gives you a sense of the scale of this. And it really is, there are many complications in the rescue efforts. The ground is unstable. Flowing water is also making it very difficult for rescuers and survivors alike. And in the main road to get to this area, that also is covered with debris. According to a report, it's up to 26 feet high. So really there's many challenges that remain for the rescue effort. They're trying to get there and they're trying to find people who desperately need aid, equipment and the like.
All right, Laura, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for getting us the latest from Hong Kong. Moving on to our next story now, 10 people were killed as cyclonic storm Remal made landfall in Bangladesh's coastal area. Remal completed its landfall and weakened to a land depression over the region on Monday. Heavy rains and gusts damaged more than hundreds of thousands of homes in Bangladesh, whereas heavy precipitation in Kolkata disrupted metro services due to waterlogging on the tracks. In response to the adverse weather conditions, India's National Disaster Response Force been put on high alert for rescue and relief operations. All right, we'll go across to Bangladesh, Dhaka. DD India's Naval Singh Parmar is joining us live. Naval, how is Bangladesh coping with the cyclone and its aftermath?
Yes, the cyclone crossed the Bangladesh coast on Sunday night, and then yesterday, entire day in the southern Bangladesh experienced heavy rain, and during the night time, almost entire Bangladesh experienced more or less heavy to very heavy rain, and due to that, the many cities like Chittagong and Dhaka they faced the waterlogging crisis and due to that, public life affected heavily. And as the cyclone moved towards the north, the southern part and southeastern part of Bangladesh become there were a rain, there were a waterlogging, but then flight operation and the port operation are partially opening, and from yesterday evening only the flight operation from Chattogram started. However, there are heavy loss of property, not the loss of life. There are 10 deaths reported in Bangladesh, but the according to as the scale of cyclone was, it was expected that it will cause more damage. But due to the timely preparedness and evacuation of the people, saved many lives. Around 8 lakh people were shifted from tin shed houses or the 9th district of Dhaka to the safer place, and that saved many lives. And at the same time, local authority tried to save cattle also, and they provide shelter home for cattle also. So in the more than 9,000 safe shelter have been earmarked by the Bangladesh government, local authority, and in that 8 lakh people were taking shelter. And to take a precautionary measure, electricity in the southern Bangladesh, around 10 districts of Bangladesh were disconnected, so the unwanted incident could be avoided. And there were massive, due to massive cyclone, there were lots of poles and trees were uprooted. So electricity continuity has not been restored in last 36 hours. So authorities and the electricity companies and their teams are working hard to reconnect to provide the electricity supply. And at the same time, mobile network in 10 districts like Satkhira, Khulna, Begarhat, Bolugna, Bola have been affected. So preparedness and the timely action saved the life as well as property also. Most of the cases, the houses are damaged. Around 35,000 houses are damaged, and the houses were the tin shed kind of house, not the pakka house. And because this is the coastal area, and people, there are many jhinga farms and the economic activity based on the which is suitable to the low-lying area. So the houses there were the kind of a thatch house or the tin shed kind of houses, and the houses were damaged. But the number of house damage and at the same time the loss of life, 35,000 houses damaged, while the loss of life is just 10. So it shows that the people were migrated, people were shifted to safer place. That is the good initiative taken by the local administration.
All right, Naval, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs. Moving on to our next story now, several districts in the northeastern state of Assam are on high alert in the wake of forecast for heavy to extremely heavy rainfall from Monday under the impact of Cyclone Remal, which made landfall in neighbouring West Bengal and Bangladesh. The administration has urged people to maintain safety measures and set up helpline numbers in case of emergency. The Northeast Frontier Railway, in a release, said 42 trains have been cancelled for 2 days from Monday. Several parts of Assam, including Guwahati, received rainfall since late Sunday evening, bringing down soaring mercury levels in the state. No reports of damage due to the impact of the cyclone have been received yet, official sources said. And Cyclone Remal can bring inclement weather in parts of Assam. We are taking several precautionary measures. So this is the tweet. In fact, he posted this on X. Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma. And squally winds of 40 to 50 kilometers per hour, gusting to 60 kilometers per hour, are likely over South Assam and Meghalaya on Monday. The weather office said heavy rain lashed the neighbouring northeastern state of Tripura on Monday under the influence of cyclonic storm Remal, while 11 flights were cancelled from Agartala airport due to bad weather. And India is experiencing severe heat wave conditions in the northern region. IMD issued a red alert for North India. Severe heat wave conditions prevailed over most parts of Rajasthan, in many parts of Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh, Delhi, in some parts of Madhya Pradesh and in isolated pockets of Uttar Pradesh. Heat wave conditions prevailed in isolated pockets of Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Gujarat. Highest maximum temperature of 49.4 degrees Celsius was recorded over West Rajasthan's Palodi. Highest maximum temperature of 48.8 degrees Celsius observed in the national capital at Mungeshpur. Now let's take a look at other stories making news. The National Investigation Agency conducted searches at multiple locations across 6 states and union territories in a case of human trafficking on Monday. NIA carried out a coordinated operation with state police forces and central intelligence agencies across all the locations. The searches led to the seizure of several incriminating materials and arrest of 5 accused. The accused were coordinating with traffickers to facilitate illegal border crossing of Indian youth from Thailand, Cambodia and Vietnam. The Crime Branch Special Investigation Team investigating the Ghatkopar hoarding collapse case has summoned Mumbai Government Railway Police ACP Shahji Nikam for questioning on Tuesday. A police officer stated the contract was awarded to EGO Ego Media Private Limited without any tender process. A hoarding collapse in Ghatkopar led to the death of 17 individuals on May 13th. And in a recent development in Pune car accident case, the father of the accused minor who killed 2 engineers with his Porsche was taken to the crime branch and officially arrested in an abduction case. He was placed under judicial custody at Yerwada jail after Pune District Court granted the custody of the accused father to the police in the driver abduction case. The police have also detained 3 suspects in the blood sample manipulation case until May 30th. All right, still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. North Korea's latest launch fails as satellite explodes in flight. Closing arguments in former US President Donald Trump's hush money trial set for Tuesday in New York.
Hype versus facts. In-depth news and analysis with experts who will help you decide why this election matters. DD India is the main election headquarters with numbers most accurate, data most reliable, and viewership across the platforms. Stay tuned to the Great Indian Election only on weekdays at 8:30 p.m. IST and 1500 hours GMT.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Recap of what we've done so far. US asks Israel to take every precaution to protect civilians after a military strike in Rafah. Israel says Rafah strike went tragically wrong and will be investigated. Campaigning gains momentum as India gears up for 7th and final phase of parliamentary elections on 1st June. Voting to be held in 57 parliamentary seats across 8 states and union territories. In French Open, 14-time winner Rafael Nadal knocked out in the first round, loses to Alexander Zverev in straight sets. Some more stories. North Korea said its attempt to launch a new military spy satellite ended in failure on Monday when a newly developed rocket engine exploded in flight. The attempt came just hours after Pyongyang issued a warning that it would try to launch a satellite by June 4th in what would have been its second spy satellite in orbit. Instead, the launch became the nuclear-armed North's latest failure, following 2 other fiery crashes last year. It successfully placed its first spy satellite in orbit in November. An initial analysis suggested that the cause was a newly developed liquid-fueled rocket motor, but other possible causes were being investigated. And Japan's Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshimasa Hayashi said the satellite launched by North Korea late Monday disappeared over the sky of Yellow Sea, adding the government presumes nothing had entered the space. Hayashi also said Japan did not try to shoot down the satellite.
North Korea today from the northwest region of Dongcheon-ri launched what they intended to be satellite using ballistic missile technology, but it disappeared in the sky over the Yellow Sea, and we assume no object has entered space.
And South Korea's military on Tuesday released a video showing explosion of North Korea's satellite launch. The The 1-minute video was set to show the North Korea's new satellite carrier rocket exploding and flashing in the air. The Joint Chiefs of Staff said the footage was filmed by the observation device of South Korea's patrol vessel in the northwestern islands. Let's go across to Tokyo. DD India's Chris Gilbert is joining us live from there. Chris, a North Korean rocket carrying its second spy satellite exploded mid-air on Monday. What more information you can tell us? How Japan also has reacted to it?
Yeah, so it had a successful launch last November, didn't it, of a spy satellite, and there have actually been successful launches before then of other spy satellites from North Korea, but they allegedly or supposedly are not working. This one was a failed attempt. We've seen multiple failed attempts from North Korea over the last year or so. The one that was successful in November, interestingly enough, immediately followed a visit by Kim Jong-un to eastern Russia to meet the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, where he toured Russia's space facilities and then very swiftly, successfully launched a rocket after a number of failures. This rocket, as we're discussing, it has not been successful. In fact, Japan is still analyzing whether a satellite was even on board, and this may be important because, as we know, the ballistic technology is banned by North Korea, by the UN Security Council. North Korea is not allowed to use ballistic technology, although it says these satellite launches are an exception because they're civilian programs, and it's its right to try and attempt and use satellites and launch satellites, just like it is the right of any other country to do so. Opposing countries of the US, South Korea, and Japan all are suspecting that it is using these satellite launches as an excuse to, practice or enhance its ballistics technology. Although experts are also pointing out, as we've seen multiple missile launches from North Korea over the last 2 years in particular, it doesn't need excuses to test ballistic technology against resolutions. It will do so anyway. But, another failure by North Korea to do so, it has given a window of until June 4th to put another satellite into orbit. So it's yet to be seen if it's going to try again in that time.
Also, Chris, Monday's launch came hours after the leaders of South Korea, China and Japan met in Seoul in the first trilateral meeting in more than 4 years, and North Korea's neighbors strongly rebuked its planned launch. Put all this together, tell us, how do we see this, the entire situation, overall situation?
It's not as dramatic as it has been in the last 18 months. If we throw our minds back to late 2022, there was a spiral of tit-for-tat exchanges between North Korea and South Korea of rocket launches and then military drills of South Korea firing rockets into the East Sea, all kinds of mutually provocative responses towards each other. However, the context has been simmering away over the last 12 months with a number of delegations from Russia visiting North Korea. As I mentioned earlier, the North Korean leader meeting the Russian leader in eastern Russia, and on the opposing side with the US, South Korea and Japan having their summit in Washington last August, and South Korea and Japan themselves very quickly expediting the burying of historical hatchets that have been, splintering and getting closer as well. And so we are seeing kind of a structural formation taking shape in lieu of fireworks of missiles. And North Korea is saying that it very much wants to protect itself, and that's why it wants to launch satellites, because the Americans are parking nuclear-armed aircraft carriers south of the DMZ, and the other side also saying that these are provocative and they're in violation of UN Security Council resolutions. So it is kind of a stasis at the moment. The one wild card that is coming up, experts remind me, is the US elections and the prospect of another Trump presidency, which could throw the entire status quo up in the air.
All right, Chris, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your views. Russia will build a small nuclear power plant in Uzbekistan, the first such project in post-Soviet Central Asia. Uzbek President Shavkat Mirziyoyev said on Monday at a meeting with visiting Russian President Vladimir Putin. Putin said Russia would put $400 million into a joint investment fund of $500 million to finance projects in Uzbekistan. According to Kremlin, Russian state nuclear firm Rosatom will build up to 6 nuclear reactors with a capacity of 55 megawatts each in Uzbekistan, a much smaller scale project than the 2.4 gigawatts one agreed in 2018, which remains to be finalized.
Today we will sign an important agreement on the project of construction of a small nuclear power plant in Uzbekistan. We have discussed the conditions and technical aspects for a long time already. There is a mutual understanding and the readiness to fulfill this strategic project.
And the recent events in eastern Ukrainian city of Kharkiv are deeply troubling, with reports of civilian casualties and injuries resulting from a Russian attack. According to local authorities, a guided bomb struck a civilian facility, causing significant damage to production sites. Alla Kovalenko, the director of a biscuit factory targeted in the attack, conveyed a sense of resilience, emphasizing that despite the horrors inflicted by ongoing bombardments, the people of Kharkiv refuse to be intimidated or driven away. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that the airstrike in the southern Gaza city of Rafah was not intended to cause civilian casualties and would be investigated. Netanyahu also reiterated his commitment to bring back all Israeli hostages taken by Hamas on October 7 attack.
In Rafah, we already evacuated about 1 million non-combatants residents, and despite our utmost effort not to harm non-combatants, something unfortunately went tragically wrong. We are investigating the incident and will reach conclusions because this is our policy.
And the European Union Foreign Affairs Chief Josep Borrell says he is horrified by this weekend's airstrike on Rafah. At least 45 people in a camp for displaced Palestinians are believed to have been killed. Israel says it was targeting senior Hamas members. Near India's William Denslow reports from Brussels.
There was some strong condemnation to Israel's strike on Rafah over the weekend from Josep Borrell, the EU Foreign Affairs Chief, saying that he was horrified by the strikes. He said that no place in Gaza is safe, and he urged these attacks to cease immediately. This comes just a few days after the International Court of Justice, the top UN court, ordered Israel to cease its military offensive in Rafah. Top EU officials, including Josep Borrell, say that the actions by both Israel and Hamas over the weekend demonstrate a lack of respect for the top UN court, urging them, imploring, demanding them to comply with the ICJ going forward. This meeting of EU foreign affairs chiefs and their Arab counterparts was really an opportunity to see what could be done by the EU and those Arab states to see the peace plans fully implemented and put together going forward. And a huge part of this is the EU's role that it can play, especially on Rafah border crossing, where the UN warns that because of security, because of a lack of resources, they're unable to get humanitarian aid into that southern part of Gaza. So real talks about what the EU can do to try and play the role of a facilitator on the border to try and get more of that humanitarian assistance in. Monday also saw a joint press conference between the foreign ministers of Spain, Ireland and Norway, 3 countries that last week announced they were taking steps to officially recognise the state of Palestine. Those ministers say the reason they're taking such an act is because they believe that by doing so can take us one step closer towards achieving a 2-state solution. They say that is essential not just for the security of Palestinians but for Israelis too. Some prominent Israeli officials have been incredibly critical of that move, however, saying that it's akin to supporting terrorists. William Denslow in Brussels reporting for DD India.
And US President Joe Biden honoured fallen service members during 156th observance of Memorial Day at Arlington National Cemetery outside the nation's capital. Biden was accompanied by Vice President Kamala Harris and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. The Memorial Day ceremony is the latest in a string of events where Biden has focused on active and retired military personnel, including delivering the commencement speech on May 26th at the U.S. Military Academy in West Point, New York. Next week, Biden will travel to Normandy, France to participate in ceremonies marking the 80th anniversary of the D-Day invasion. And former US President Donald Trump is due in a New York courtroom again on Tuesday for what may be the final week of a trial in which he is accused of falsifying business records to cover up a hush money payment to a porn star. It's time for the lawyers to give their final arguments before the jury that will have to decide on a verdict, guilty or not. DD India's Caroline Malone reports.
It's been 6 weeks of courtroom drama in the first major criminal trial against Donald Trump. 22 witnesses, loads of evidence, hours of cross-examining. And some of those witnesses have given salacious testimony, including former adult film star Stormy Daniels, who described a night that she had with Trump in which she drew attention to the power imbalance. Then there was Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, himself already convicted, who said in the case that Trump got him to make a payment to Daniels to stop her from going public with the story. Well, on Tuesday, lawyers for both sides are due to give their closing arguments. The prosecution will try and convince the jury that Trump is guilty of 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. One factor that could make a difference, are these the personal or business payments, and are they related to the campaign? And what did the financial records actually show, and were they actually falsified? Of vital importance, though, is how believable the jury finds Michael Cohen, whose evidence is really at the crux of this case. And it's a very important case too, of course, featuring one of the two likely major candidates for the next US presidential election, which will decide who gets into the White House. Caroline Malone, Washington, for DD India.
We'll slip into another short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. 77th session of the World Health Assembly in Geneva, Switzerland. WHO chief confident of pandemic treaty deal. And to transform the nation's cooking habits, Tanzania launches a 10-year clean cooking plan.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts, we demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. The 77th session of the World Health Assembly began on Monday in Geneva, Switzerland. The meeting brings together global health officials, including officials from India. The opening ceremony was held in the presence of WHO's Director General, Dr. Tedros Adhanom, along with delegates from across the globe. This year's theme is All for Health, Health for All, wherein global officials and experts discuss current and future priorities for public health issues of global importance. India will showcase its success stories in healthcare. India will also display its Arogya Maitri disaster management cube and indigenous portable hospital for emergencies. And the head of the World Health Organization on Monday expressed confidence that countries would one day reach a deal on a pandemic accord after failing to produce an agreement last week. Ministers from WHO's 194 member states are seeking to wrap up more than 2 years of negotiations on new rules for responding to pandemics during the May 27 to June 1st World Health Assembly in Geneva after COVID-19 killed millions. Negotiators failed to produce a draft deal on Friday for formal approval by the Assembly this week. Negotiations are still ongoing for an update to existing health rules on outbreaks, and negotiators say that a deal is close. During the session, WHO member state decided not to invite Taiwan to the organization's annual assembly after China appealed for it to remain sidelined. Taiwan is excluded from most international organizations because of the objections by China.
Of course, we all wish that we had been able to reach a consensus on the agreement in time for this held assembly and cross the finish line. But I remain confident that you still will, because where there is a will, there is a way. I know that there remains among you a common will to get this done.
And India's Union Health Secretary Apurva Chandra chaired a high-level meeting on advancing health and well-being of billions in WHO Southeast Asia region in Geneva. The meeting was aimed to strategize joint actions by member states, WHO and partners in addressing key public health agendas in Southeast Asia. Apurva Chandra highlighted India's role as the world's pharma capital in offering affordable medical countermeasures to the Southeast Asia region. Various interventions were made by member states on the need for strengthening cooperation and collaboration with other countries. In sports, tennis legend Rafael Nadal on Monday virtually ruled himself out of a final appearance at Wimbledon this year, saying it will not be smart to do so before the Olympics. Nadal lost in the first round of the French Open to Alexander Zverev 6-3, 7-6, 6-3 in what many believe was his final appearance at the French Open. Zverev became only the third man to beat Nadal at Roland Garros after Novak Djokovic and Robin Soderling. Though he did not confirm his decision to retire, Nadal potentially bowed out of the French Open one last time with a first-round defeat against Zverev. The 22-time major champion who won the Musketeers Cup for the first time back in 2005 had previously said this year could be his final one on the tour. And in a move towards sustainable development, Tanzania has launched a 10-year clean cooking plan aimed at transforming the nation's cooking habits. Spearheaded by President Samia Suluhu Hassan herself, the $1.8 billion program seeks to drastically increase the utilization of clean energy in households across the country through the widespread adoption of liquefied petroleum gas. DDR's Daniel Kijo brings this report.
Tanzania wants to transition away from traditional biomass and non-renewable energy sources, such as wood and charcoal, to cleaner, more efficient, liquefied petroleum gas. President Samia says this will help cut deforestation and air pollution, issues that have long plagued many African nations. Furthermore, this transition is expected to have health benefits for millions across the country.
Clean cooking is about a just energy transition, and it's also about positively impacting our people, our planet, and our environment. It should therefore be a priority agenda for Africa.
Smoke from traditional cooking methods is a leading cause of respiratory diseases on the continent. By substituting these with LPG, Tanzania anticipates a significant reduction in health issues associated with ingesting carbon monoxide and black soot.
In Tanzania, statistics show that about 32,000 people die every year from using unsafe and unclean cooking methods.
A clean cooking summit held in Paris recently, which was co-chaired by President Samia, raised $2.2 billion for clean cooking in Africa. While there is widespread agreement on stopping the use of firewood and charcoal, there is less agreement over which fuels should replace them. The clean cooking push in Tanzania started 2 years ago and picked up speed in 2023 after President Samia Suluhu Hassan launched the African Women's Clean Cooking Support Program at COP28. The initiative promotes clean cooking as a continental issue and not just Tanzania's agenda. Clean cooking sources include alternative charcoal, bioethanol, LPG, natural gas, biogas, electricity, and solar stoves. People here have mixed feelings about the availability of clean cooking options, especially in more isolated rural regions.
In my view, it will be impossible because we see other things vividly not working. We still don't have basic reliable electricity, and the cost of living is increasing.
Gas for rural people has to be affordable. It should not be expensive so that everyone can afford it. They also need to be given knowledge on the benefits and usage of gas.
The Tanzanian government plans to upscale clean cooking energy adoption from 10% to 80% by 2034. Experts say, if successful, it could serve as inspiration for other African nations. Daniel Kijo in Dar es Salaam, reporting for DD India.
Well, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly Twitter and Instagram. And you can also scan the QR code to download DD India mobile app. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.